3 minutes, we had a guy there who was a specialist. He was actually on holiday, so he turned up in just his civvy gear. Ambulance arrived. 5 minutes after that, the air ambulance was landing in the field.
Hello, I am the Rhythmic Biker, and for the first time in many years, I'm actually bikeless after selling my Triumph Sprint ST 1050. But don't worry, all will be revealed soon. It's not all bad news here today though, because we feature a motorcycle hand-built right here in the United Kingdom. These are the Wolf Tails.
Hi, I'm Dan Lewis from Bedford. I'm a 49-year-old commercial manager within the building trade, and I really do like motorbiking. I brought in today my CCM Spitfire Six Stealth Edition for everyone to have a look at.
So we are joined by Dan, who has brought in his CCM Spitfire Six Stealth Edition, a bike that CCM claim empowers owners to influence the bike with their own style and personality. However, enough from me. Let's hear from the owner as we jump straight in to the deep dive. And Dan, just kick us off straight away. What have you brought in for us today?
So this is a CCM Spitfire 6 with the Stealth pack on it. I got the bike last year and it was more a bike for fun, for messing around on. The Triumph Tiger 900 Rally Pro as well. So this is a high days and holidays bike when the sun is shining and I need to go out and have some fun.
Absolutely. You've said there, obviously, owning a Triumph Tiger Pro, obviously a bike that's just absolutely bemoozled with loads of equipment, loads of riding modes and whatever have you. What is the difference like when riding something like the Spitfire 6?
Yeah, the difference is I feel a lot more in control of this bike. It does exactly what I want it to do when I want it to do it. And also not having all of those driver aids adds a little bit of excitement in the mind there because there's nothing there to save me. So yeah, it is an exciting bike to ride around the twisties and yeah, I love it.
I bet. You say there about not having much rider modes. Obviously there's no traction control, there's no ABS, it's only a 600cc single cylinder engine. It's very minimalistic, and in this modern age, how does that translate onto the road?
Yeah, like I say, this bike is incredibly light. It's really easy to handle and manoeuvre. It goes where you want it to go. It stops on a sixpence, and yeah, I just feel a lot more in control without all of those driver aids and things like that. So yeah, it's pure riding fun.
Pure riding fun. And is that sort of the reason why? Because obviously you say it's a bike more for fun, more for getting out there and enjoying the roads, but there's a lot on the market. There's a lot of options for a bike like that opposite to your Triumph Tiger Pro. Why the CCM Spitfire compared to the others?
Well, because A, it's beautiful, as you can see. It's a stunning piece of engineering. It looks absolutely fantastic. When I first saw a CCM Spitfire, I fell in love with it instantly. Somebody introduced me to them, they'd seen them at a show. He showed me photographs and that was it. The deposit was almost paid straight away. Manufactured in England, in Bolton as well, which is also important to me as well. Yeah, and it was good. It was an amazing experience with CCM, going to Bolton, looking around their factory, having a tour of their factory, just me and one of the engineers, and then we sat and I chose the bits which I wanted on the bike as well. The whole thing was an amazing experience rather than going to your local Triumph dealership and just been shown around a load of bikes. This was the whole experience was fantastic.
Oh, it sounds absolutely wonderful. And you say there it's important to have a brand like CCM, you know, being manufactured in Bolton, in England. Why is that important to have something a bit more home, if you will, close to home?
Yeah, well, I think we have, we have a lot of motor bike heritage in the UK, which is slowly being lost. And CCM is a small company. I almost feel like I'm supporting them by buying this bike and continuing on the tradition of CCM and also the UK bike designing and manufacturing industry.
Absolutely, and you say there, you know, supporting them for buying the bike. There was only 300 of these made. So tell me, how quick did you have to be one of those 300?
So I phoned up and paid the deposit in December of 2021. Then after I paid the deposit, we went up to Bolton in the February of 22. And then decided on exactly what I was going to have and confirmed the order. And then delivery was in July, August of 2022. So whilst there is a process involved in obtaining the bike, it's all well worth it.
I can imagine. And is this a bike that you expect to be, in maybe 5-10 years' time, a lot more sought after? I mean, like you say, there is only now a limited number of them. How much attention do you think this obviously gets now, but compared to maybe in a few years down the line? Yeah,
I think CCM seem to be a progressive company, and I'm sure there will be more CCM Spitfires Sixes manufactured. But this is an early six. But I really didn't consider that when I was actually buying it, resale value, or even selling it at all. That wasn't on the top list of my priority, how much it's going to be worth or how much people are going to look at it in 4 or 5 years' time. So that wasn't a concern, really.
Not an issue, no, exactly. And we've already talked off camera about just how special this bike almost is, but is a big important factor the fact that the frame, the swing arm, it's all hand wielded, TIG welded, all by hand. Is that so important for you? Is that add to the speciality of the bike?
More the shape of the frame, and because it looks so good. You can see absolutely everything on the bike, which I like. Coming from an engineering background, I can see absolutely everything, and you can tell that it's handmade, put together in Bolton, and there's passion involved in that as well, which I like.
Yeah, you talked there about the I have to admit, it does surprise me when it comes in, when you see it in the flesh, and you actually, you see the Brembo performance brakes, you see some wavy discs, and the suspension, as you've told me off camera, it's set up quite stiff. It's almost like it's set up like a sports bike, very performance focused. Is that just, again, adding to the engineering brilliance of it?
Yes, I think so. And you always want to have nice bits on your bike, and they're using premium, as you say, the Brembo brakes and the suspension, and it all works really well. So yeah, that does sell the bike as well, having those finer points on it.
Exactly, and you've got some huge 19-inch spoke wheels on there. How do they work on the road? How does it feel when you're in the bends and everything?
No, it's absolutely amazing, and jumping off the Tiger and jumping onto this, it's like chalk and cheese. This is absolutely fantastic. As you say, the suspension is set up quite firm, so you certainly know it if you hit a pothole when you're on a bend. But CCM are coming out and they do their servicing at your home in the back of the van, and they'll set the bike up for you. So this hasn't had its first service yet, so I'm expecting that when it does have its first service, we'll set up that suspension for me, for my weight, my riding style, and that will be sorted out. But it's just good. It's just a good fun bike to go out there and blast around the country lanes.
Oh, definitely. And you mentioned there about CCM coming out to you for the service. What is the after sales treatment like? How have CCM been? How do you expect them to be with the servicing from home?
So CCM have been absolutely fantastic with me. After the bike got delivered, they deliver the bike to your home, and you go through all of the instruction they give you, the guy who delivers it. That was absolutely fantastic. There was a couple of small items on the bike which I need to contact CCM about. Really friendly, sent me that it was a sticker. In fact, they sent me the sticker out, absolutely no problem. And the after sales for booking the servicing is super easy. They come to you, and from what I hear, the guys who come out, their knowledge is incredible about the bike. That's all they work on all of the time. And yeah, I'm expecting a first class service when they come out to give it its first service.
First class. And what would you like, obviously having owned it a little bit now and done a few miles on it, how would you like that suspension and maybe some other little things just adjusted. What are you looking for to make this the perfect bike?
Yeah, just a little bit softer on that suspension, really, I think. And because it's still been run in, I haven't completely opened it up all the way yet. But once it has been serviced, it will be ridden. Clutch needs some adjustment. It has done ever since it was first delivered. So that will be done at the first service, and yeah, it should be perfect.
Brilliant. You mentioned there about the clutch needing adjust. How have you found the clutch? Obviously, because these have a hydraulic clutch system that's apparently smooth as butter. So how has that translated into the riding? Yeah,
so the gear change is fantastic, and yeah, absolutely no problems with that whatsoever.
Just a slight bit of adjustment just to make it.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
So you've mentioned this is the stealth option.
Yep.
What is included with that? What do you get when buying this bike and going for the additional packages?
So with the stealth, the tank is a stealth design with the bronze in it. The saddle is for the stealth model. You get the black bar end mirrors with that. On the mud guards, there's elements of that which are silver on a non-stealth bike. They're black on this one, and a small amount of carbon comes with the stealth edition.
Are you a fan of carbon fibre?
Like it in moderation, which I think we've got moderation here, or moderation for me.
Moderation, so that's fair enough. On the CCM website, they sort of say that this bike is to empower owners to put their own style and personality into their bike. It's very customisable.
Yep.
What plans do you have? What's your vision for this bike in about a year or two's time?
Yeah, so I think that's too early to. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love the way it looks. It lives in my lounge, so I can watch television, I can look at bike, I can watch television, I can look at bike. It's absolutely fantastic. There's not a lot that I would change about it, to be honest. Fuel filler cap, to me, looks a little bit cheaper than the rest of the bike, so maybe there's something that could be done with that, but the rest of it, I just love all of it.
And with only 300 of them ever being made, have you come across yet any other owners? Have you met anyone else who's got one, and what have you? So
I've met, CCM do a bobber, a Spitfire bobber. So I've seen a couple of those, and I've seen a couple of the original Spitfires as well. But I haven't seen on the road a Spitfire 6 Stealth.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Plan is to hopefully come across, take some influence maybe from what other people are doing. A big focus on CCM is obviously paint finish. They demand that the bikes look incredible. Was that an important factor for you? How important is it to keep that paint pristine?
Yeah, so for me, everything's got to be shiny all of the time and just look absolutely perfect. So I actually had the bike ceramic coated virtually as soon as I got it. So the amazing paintwork that CCM have done is now ceramic coated. So it should last scratch-free. Don't need to wash it, hopefully, for the next considerable amount of years.
Amazing. And just staying on the line of sort of customisation and what have you, we've obviously spoke a little bit about how CCM give you the option for a side plate. Not your cup of tea from what you were telling me?
Not my cup of tea at all. I like it at the back. From the rear, the bike looks nice and balanced without the number plate sticking out of the side. And from what I hear, Carl Fogarty doesn't even like the side-mounted number plate because every bike they deliver to him with one, it's been kicked off. So no, at the back is absolutely fine. I think also the side-mounted number plate is also a bit dated in design. So a lot of the bikes that they do a heritage bike, they do a RAF benevolent fun bike. It looks okay on those, but on this, which is modern cafe racer, black, sleek, I prefer it at the back.
You prefer it at the back?
Definitely,
yeah, like you say, if it adds that slick all-round finish to it. Obviously, again, you know, there's so much I can imagine that is customisable on these. In terms of upgraded parts, is there anything that you have added or anything that you plan to be adding in the near future?
Well, I would, because about the balance of the bike, it comes with the single disc at the front. The twin disc is an option, which I didn't go for at the time, but I would like it to look, not necessarily for the performance of the braking, because it's absolutely fine. The bike is so light, the single disc is absolutely fine. But just for looks, which I realise is a bit vain, but I would, I would like the twin discs on the front.
No, not at all. We like a bit of vanity on here. Like you say, it's such a light bike. Maybe having those dual sort of wavy discs, dual Brembo calipers, the stopping power is already, like you say, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Is that just going to make it absolutely nuts?
Yeah, it probably will. It will stop even quicker, and I've got no complaints about stopping power with just a single. So
awesome. Any plans for any sort of exhaust modifications, or are you quite happy with how the single cylinder to dual exhaust exhaust system sounds?
I absolutely love the exhaust, and they're not getting changed. You can take the baffles out. It's just a single circlip to take those out. So I may try that, but it's loud enough for me and my neighbours at the moment, certainly. And just look at those exhausts. They're so beautiful. Why would you want to change those?
They are lovely. I was saying to you off camera, the welding on them I absolutely love.
Amazing.
I think it just catches your eye. What would you say to someone who's potentially looking at not just maybe the Spitfire 6 as a bike to buy, maybe second-hand, maybe whatever, if CCM can get their hands on a few more, but just anyone looking at a CCM bike in general?
So what do you mean about the buying experience, or
yeah,
why?
Well, just the bike. Why go for this bike? What is it so special? If someone was looking, what would your advice be to them?
Well, you're standing in front of the bike, aren't you? Does it need any more than that? It's just a very, very beautiful thing. The single seat is something that I wanted. I don't want to take anybody on the back of this bike. It would ruin how it looks. So I think they really sell themselves. If what you're looking for is fun, single seat machine, full interface with the driver, so no additional aids, this is the bike for you. It's not a mass-produced bike. There's not a mass of dealers around, and because of that, I think it's exclusive.
Oh, definitely. No, I couldn't agree more. And like you say, with there not being many dealers around and CCM still being quite a small to medium sort of size operation, are you finding a lot of sort of external fabricators creating little mods, little custom?
Yeah, so there is. So as I was saying to you earlier, I was surprised when I actually bought the bike that there weren't more extras to bolt onto the bike. For example, the radiator guard. There is a guy who's now making those with elongated sides, and you can have whatever you want written in the side. Things like that, different patterns on the radiator grille, things like that. He also produces a fitting to go on the back so that you can use any paddock stand, because you can only use a CCM paddock stand on the bike. So he manufactures things to bolt onto that as well. So there are additional aftermarket people who are manufacturing those. So yeah, there are more bits to buy than you can get from CCM.
I think you surprised me earlier with how much that paddock stand from CCM costs.
Yeah, so the paddock stand, which is literally just a paddock stand, that I think comes in at 280, 300. The display stand, which I've got with it in my lounge, which is aluminium checker plate, that retails from CCM at 800. So
yeah, it's a bike where if you've got the money to invest, I mean, we were talking, you can get the additional Olin suspension as well.
Yes.
A ridiculous figure.
Absolutely ridiculous.
You could throw an absolute saving at this thing, but ultimately, the way you've got it today just looks spectacular. Yeah. And maybe a few little bits and bobs. That's it. It's going to be the perfect bike for you.
Yep.
Right, well, thank you so much, Dan, for talking us through it. It's an absolute wonderful bike, and looking forward to hearing a bit more about yourself and your riding experience.
Excellent, thank you.
No worries.
So originally, when I first got into biking, I was 21, 22. I was working abroad. There was quite a few of us out there from the company, and two of the lads went off and hired motorbikes. They were Vivaros, I think they were called, 750. They went into the hills of Germany and Holland and went for a day's riding, and I was very jealous. When I came back to the UK, I decided to do my motorbike test. I had a KMX 125 to start off with, a crosser type bike. Then passed my test and moved on to a Yamaha XJ600N, which was the yellow naked version, if anybody can remember that. Carried on working abroad and decided to come out of biking. And then a couple of years ago, a friend of mine who was always on to me to get back into biking finally forced me into buying a bike. Been riding off and on for 20 years. I'd never been to Scotland, so I decided to go on the bike. I went on my own. I was camping next to the locks, so I had a bivvy bag I took with me, camped on the shore of the locks, bathed in the locks in the morning, rode on to the next lock, and it was absolutely amazing. The mountains or large hills, whatever you would like to call them, absolutely amazing riding through there. Empty roads, the sun was shining. There was no midges that everyone reports in Scotland, no rain. It was an absolutely amazing time. The other one was in between the Pyrenees. When we came through the Pyrenees, riding in a cloud was absolutely just mind-blowing, absolutely boggling. It was just out of this world. An amazing experience. I'll remember that forever. Last year, my son and I were getting ready to go and do a tour of France and Spain. We decided to go to Grimsby, of all places, to grab some fish and chips and camp up there. So we had all the panniers on the Tiger Rally Pro. And we went up there and we were just coming into Grimsby, and I thought, I'll stop just to get myself set up, find out where the fish and chip shop is. So as I rode into the garage, there was massive car park, flat, lovely car park. Did I decide to park there? No, I didn't. I decided to park next to the picnic benches, which was on a bit of a slope. Turned the bike round to come level with the picnic benches, and it was on a slope. My left leg was not long enough, so when I put that down to put the bike onto its stand, it was a little bit further than I thought. Leg crumbled, bike falls over. So I quite successfully leap off the bike. My son, 14-year-old, on the back, wasn't quite so lucky. Pinned his foot underneath the pannier, was on the floor underneath the bike. A lady ran over, exclaimed she was an ex-paramedic, so she knew what she was doing. Got him off the bike, instructed him to lay as still as possible, not to touch his helmet, don't take anything off. And literally this was at 0 miles an hour that we toppled the bike over. So he complained that his foot was hurting and also his wrist, which in the end turned out to be his gloves had skewed around, nothing more than that. The lady called 999, told the operator on the line that George was involved in a motorbike accident at speed. He had come off, he was having problems breathing, the pelvic fracture, he had broken his leg. Within 3 minutes, we had a guy there who was a specialist. He was actually on holiday, so he turned up in just his civvy gear. Ambulance arrived. 5 minutes after that, the air ambulance was landing in the field. They came running over, amazing service, but in the end, we just went to hospital. George had an x-ray and his foot was broken, but he was absolutely fine. So that lady cost the air ambulance service £60,000 because of what she'd said on the phone. So that was all pretty crazy. I have photographs of George in the ambulance, with his broken leg. So.
Ouch. So a nasty story there about Dan's son's poor foot. However, such calamities are a part of motorcycle touring. Thank you, Dan, for bringing in the CCM Spitfire. Stunning bikes, crazy stories are what this show is all about. And we would love to have you guys here as a guest on Wolf Tales, sharing your magnificent machines and wonderful stories of your time in motorcycling. Remember to like the video, comment down below. We do love to hear from you. Of course, subscribe. Go check us out on Instagram, merch link down below. Thank you all so much for watching. These are the Wolf Tales. These are the Wolf Tales.